Well, let's go on now. So let's go on now. Let's see who pops on here. Everyone does pop on here. It's a Q&A, so we'll see who pops on here. Let's see if someone pops on or not. Bunky! Yeah, we had Blinky. Blinky was too. So yeah, we're just gonna do Q&A and see who pops on here. If one does pop on here, it'd be nice. Because I will allow people to come on here for Q&A. I mean, it's a Q&A, so yeah. I'll let people come on here. If anyone wants to come on here, they can come on here and they can actually ask me questions and I'll answer them. It's a Q&A today, so we'll see what happens. I maybe do this maybe once a month now. Q&As maybe once a month or so, but I do Q&As every Wednesday. That's it. YouTube. And it's just going to be a fun morning, fun day. So come on here, we'll just talk to them and answer their questions. So yeah, it's a Q&A, guys. Yeah, it's been saved in the chat and I'll read it. So yeah. It's a Q&A, so yeah, come on here, you guys want to, and answer your guys' questions. If you have any questions or thing, I'll answer them. It's a Q&A, so yeah. Helping you govern any AI, data, models, and policies change so you can scale it responsibly. There we go. Let's create AI. So yeah, it's a Q&A, guys. So anything you guys want to say, put in the chat and I'll read it. So yeah, it's a Q&A, and that's about it, guys. Today's a Q&A, and that's about it. So we're on. So we're on a little early, but yeah. Steam lorries like this one here. They can be seen all over England doing various industrial needs. This one right here is not a 1922 Foden steam lorry. It's a half-scale replica. And yes, it works. Fully functional. It's got a steam engine and everything. So yeah. It's a Q&A day today, so you can put some in the chat. I'll read it and answer your questions. Okay, we got a question? Okay, you want to come on here? You can come on here if you want to. There's a couple ones here. You can come on here if you want to. It's a Q&A, so you guys can. It's a Q&A, so yeah, you guys want to come on here, you guys can. It's a Q&A. I can let you guys come on or something. It's like I said, questions and answers today. If you want to, you can come on here. I'll push a couple. You can come on here if you want to. I guess so. You click that link right there in the chat. You can come on here. Yeah. Sort of. Why? Give me 1 second here. Okay.
My back, my leg, got a cramp in it.
I'm actually only thing hearing is audio. Okay. Audio's on, but camera's off. Where?
The shoulder area. Yeah.
This is Lumpson now.
Oh. Took the massager on my back there.
Yeah.
But my foot's got a freaking cramp, but every time I go to lay down.
Okay.
summer of 2020.
Down just a little bit more.
Because of the pandemic, I was able to work on it almost full time.
Make sure you get it all off your hands. Wipe it all over.
I think I'm doing right now. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, all you can see is my face. That picture I did a few years ago.
That's good. Nobody wants to see my bare butt.
I can't show it on YouTube. I'll get yelled at. Okay. I'm back. I had to help my mom out with something. So like I said, it's a Q&A. Click the link right there, guys, in the chat. You guys can come on here. I push a couple buttons so you guys can come on here. So yeah. You can come on here, we can talk and do all good sorts of things. That lamp is going to be bothering me. Or you can say something else. I don't care. I mean, like I said, it's a Q&A. You can come on or you can ask me questions. It doesn't really matter. Every Wednesday, we do Q&As every Wednesday. And maybe once a month, I go on streamer. Maybe once a month, do this sort of thing. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's just a Q&A. I was going to start at 6 o'clock, but I thought, you know what? I'm close enough to 6, so I'll start early today. So, yeah. If you have an Apple product, it might not work. So yeah, it says a Q&A. So yeah. Because the pistons are thin, and without them, they would just be wobbling around in the cylinders. And this is the crankshaft. It is a roller bearing crankshaft, except for where the connects the crankshaft. On one end of the shaft is the flywheel, on the other end is the very simple gearbox. And this, like most steam engines, is double acting. Steam acts on both sides of the piston, so every stroke is a power stroke. All right, take it off. Dang. Okay. This is quite the experience. Oh yeah, it does drift a wee bit. So it takes potholes. Oh, I can forget it. How about us? This is actually quite hard to steer. It's like a tractor, because it is one. The Phantom has a 3-speed gearbox with neutral, and because the gearbox has a total off-wheeling system, you can see right into it. This is neutral. That's first. That's second. And that's third. All the gears are straight cut. You cannot change gears while anything is moving unless you're some sort of speed matching wizard. There is no clutch because the steam engine makes torque from 0 RPM, and there is no reversing gear. Oh, please don't tell me to Oh, great. Right now to reset. I don't want to reset. I'm not going to. Please reset your system. Please, your systems are needed for reset. I don't think so now. I'll do that later after our stream. I'll do it. After the stream, I'll have to reset the computer again, which tell me to do that. So it's 6 o'clock, so we'll stay on here for like an hour. So yeah, we'll stay on for an hour for the Q&A, then get off at 7-ish. Maya knows how quality care can bring out a smile. Good thing Aspen Dental offers complete care all in one place with 20% off treatment plans for everyone. Loving our patients unconditionally. Another way Aspen Dental is in your corner.
Whether you're frothing your way to the perfect oat latte, enjoying a mouth-watering almond matcha, or finding the perfect creamer pairing for your iced coffee, with California Farms, you can enjoy irresistibly good cafe-quality drinks from comfort to your home.
How do you know all of that and steer at the same time? Are you a wizard? Okay. A steam engine makes torque from 0 RPM, but what happens if the piston is at top dead or bottom dead center? It can't get any leverage to push the crank.
There goes that.
Well, that's what the simpling valve is for. The high pressure piston is bottom dead center, so if I open the throttle, nothing happens. It's locked in place and it can't move anywhere. But the crankshaft is offset by 90 degrees. The move the crankshaft. The only problem is it's run off exhaust from the high pressure piston. So if the high pressure piston isn't moving and making exhaust, then the low pressure has nothing to power it. That's what the simpling valve is for. If I open the simpling valve, that opens a passageway from the high pressure steam chest to the low pressure side, so that the low pressure side can kickstart the crankshaft moving, and then everything can start up moving. So if I pull the simpling valve, oh, I can get it started. It's a self-starting engine. Otherwise, you have to get out and pump start the thing forward or move the flywheel by hand if it was stuck on bottom dead or top dead center. So we're getting slow. Pull back on the lever. And then we fall through. What's the simpling valve do? It lets a jet of live steam from the high pressure side go to the release on the top. This little bronze box right here making that lovely ratcheting sound is the mechanical lubricator for the cylinders. And yes, it is a total off-oiling system. Everything has to be oiled manually via these little oil pots that you see all over the engine, and all of the excess oil just gets dumped on the ground and flung absolutely everywhere. You have to constantly keep this thing oiled up. And the builder of this tells me that this mechanical lubricator box only lasts for about 2 miles, and then you have to fill it up again. This knob right here is your parking brake. It just turns a threaded rod, which pulls up on a cable, which pulls the axle brake in back. This is your steering tiller. This is your reversing valve, the throttle valve. This is your gear change linkages over here, some various steam controls, the injector, the ejector for the siphon. Your firebox is down here, and this is your sight glass to tell how full of water your boiler is.
The Foden uses a conventional steam boiler with a firebox, boiler barrel, and a smoke box. The firebox is a box with a tube sheet on the front and stay bolts connecting to the outer skin of the boiler. It's surrounded by water, and inside of that inner box sits the fire with a firebox door that you shovel coal to. The tube sheet has tubes that run through the boiler barrel to the front tube sheet where they connect to the smoke box. Those tubes carry the exhaust gases from the fire to the smoke box, where the draft produced from the engine pulls those exhaust gases through the boiler tubes and pulls air through the fire, intensifying it, creating a hotter flame, boiling more water to create more steam. Temperature and steam pressure are directly related. In this case, the hotter the fire, the more boiler pressure you have.
Standard operating pressure for the boiler is 150 to 200 psi, but to keep it from going over 200 psi, there's just a simple spring-loaded safety release valve that sends steam to atmosphere right here. This truck is rear-wheel drive and chain-driven, and as you can see how big the chain is on this F-scale model, imagine how massive the chain was on the full-size Foden. And surprisingly, there is a differential back here. It's not just straight drive to both wheels. To tension this massive drive chain, you move the entire axle back. There's a link rod here, and there's one on the other side, and you have to screw this and tighten it or loosen it to push or pull the axle back and forth. The whole axle is designed to move just to tension that chain back there.
Trees are involved in up to 30% of our outages each year. So we provide a vegetated management program that clears our wire zone and provides safe and reliable services.
Consumers Energy, a force of change, a force for you.
Hey, you can see where we've been. Up front is the smoke box and 2 original oil lamps. These are 110-year-old Lucas King of the Road oil lamps, and yes, they do work. And the axle is a solid axle, as you might expect. And one feature of the day is that it has independent wheels. That means the wheels turn on the end of the axle instead of the entire axle rotating for steering. Yes, that was a feature. The tires are solid rubber and they're vulcanized to the cast iron wheels. Later Foden apparently did have pneumatic tires, but not this one. And the wheels are roller bearings, so you don't have to constantly lubricate the wheels. How nice! The brakes are on the rear axle only. They are mechanically actuated drum brakes. I hesitate to say drum because they're wide open. They don't look like your typical drum brake. and they're actuated by this rod right here. And of course, there is no assistance whatsoever, only the manpower you have to press the brakes. And they're perfectly adequate for this thing, probably because it's tiny, and the absolute fastest it will go is like 18 miles an hour. Okay, keep us on the road. Because this is a half-scale model, meaning is rather sitting on the flatbed, and the full-size real deal, this would be a solid wall, and you'd be, inside the cab. But this is a dinky little thing, so I'm sitting on the ornamental flatbed. And behind me is a bench seat, which also is called underneath this seat. Underneath me, and then further back in the frame, are the two water tanks, and they total 45 gallons in this half-scale model. There are two ways to fill up the water tank. Over here, you just have a copper tube sticking out. You can just pour water in there. Or, right here, is a steam siphon tube, which uses the power of steam to suck up water. You just stick this in a bucket, turn on the steam siphon valve, and it starts sucking in water. So you can rock up to your local horse trough and steal all their water to power your steam lorry. It's working quite well. This thing's like a bicycle. You don't realize what is a hill and what isn't until you're driving on this. Boeing continued production long after the 1920s. In the 30s, they transitioned rather quickly to diesel-powered trucks, but by 1998, Bowden trucks became little more than rebranded gas trucks, and in 2006, the Bowden name died completely. And thanks again to Tanner here, first of all, for building the Enchantress, but also for inviting me out so we can all have a look at the hot steaming action he got up to last year.
Before you use AI to transform business, accelerate growth.
Hello and welcome to the final edition of Not a Car November. On the docket today is... What's that sound? It's a Robinson R44 Raven 2 helicopter. Yeah. We are floating above the ground. Before we begin, I'd like to add a disclaimer that if it seems like I'm not an expert at all on helicopters, and if this seems like a dumbed-down tour of a helicopter, it's because I'm not. And this is a really car channel, but someone offered me their helicopter. Would you turn that on for nothing? I don't think you would. And by the way, sorry about the echo. I'm in an airplane hangar recording. Oh man. This is mildly terrifying. I should have asked before I started flying on the grab onto it, use the spear. Oh man, as I already said, this is a Robinson R44 Raven 2. Robinson started manufacturing the R44 in the early 90s, and they still produce them today. In total, over 5,000 of these things have been produced, which is amazing considering the vast quantity of rivets that it takes to put this together, and that when new, they cost just over $500,000. The twin motor is powered by a 6-cylinder piston engine. It seats 4 people, and empty, it weighs just over 1,400 pounds. This whole thing weighs just 1,400 pounds. Is very light. We're now flying above Columbus, Ohio. Hello, people of Columbus, Ohio. This is an R44. Robinson also makes an R22 and an R66. The R22 is the 2-seater model with a 4-cylinder engine. The R66 seats 6 people and has no piston drive because it's powered by a turbo shaft engine. I take it off the front door, so as you can see, it's 4-door. So it's a helicopter sedan. These are the front doors. They weigh nothing at all. They're made out of a very, very light and thin aluminum and a plexiglass bubble. And for convenience sake, they do have a little air vent here. You know, if you don't want to take the whole door off, and you just want a little bit of air in. My door doesn't feel very well. Look at this build quality. I asked the owner what this helicopter candy cane on the back was. I was thinking it was some sort of airspeed instrument or something like that. No, it's just a bar to keep you from running into the tail rotor while it's spinning. Very weird. Flying this close to the ground as fast as a helicopter. I was just flushing the frame of the door here, so I don't know what else to grab. Controls that thing up there is called the swash plate, and it controls the pitch of each rotor blade as it goes round and round, as helicopters do. This stick right in front of me controls the pitch, forward and back, and the roll, side to side. The movement of the stick is basically directly translated to the swash plate. And by the way, these controls are hydraulically assisted. This lever right down here is the collective. It moves the whole swash plate up and down to change the overall pitch of the blade. This is your upping and downing stick. The technical term. The pedals in front of me control the yaw by changing the pitch of the tail rotor. In front of me are all the gauges. You get your standard airplane stuff up here. I know I'm just the biggest expert. In the middle down here are 2 fuel gauges, because there are 2 fuel tanks. You get a fuel gauge for each tank. How nice is that? This whole thing runs on a 24-volt system, by the way. And down here is just a bunch of electronics. That has something to do with the radio. I don't know. Up there in the top is an iPad. I know what that is. The thing is actually rather nice on the inside. Mostly it's Windows and space, but above me is a headliner and a sunroof. I bet your helicopter doesn't have a sunroof. Giant sunrise. I hope so, because it has the windshield of a Model X. In the back seat, there isn't a heck of a lot to look at, except for the entire world flying by your window. Aside from that, there's a power socket back here that's the same shape as the 12-volt outlet, but it says 28 volts on it. There's what looks like they're supposed to be cup holders, but I don't know how you put a cup in them. They're only a centimeter deep. That's going to spill. I think you wanted to spill in your helicopter. There's storage underneath these back seats, and directly behind my head is all of the fuel, like right behind my head. And just like in the front, these roof doors are removable, but if you want to, you can open these little vents down here. So you can wave at people or throw eggs down on them or whatever. Tucked away back here in the rumpacopter is the engine cooling fan, which is massive. Interestingly, the cabin heat in this helicopter comes from the engine cooling fan, blowing air over the muffler and into the cabin, just like in the turbine. Right? It's quite cozy in here. Pretty effective cabin heat. The engine in this helicopter is a Lycoming air-cooled, because of course it is. There's a lot of air floating around here. Flat 6, technically a boxer 6, making 245 horsepower or thereabouts. The really interesting thing about this flat 6 engine is that it's 8.9 liters. It's a Lycoming IO 540, and the 540 means 540 cubic inches. It's a big engine. This rather large engine in here, tucked away underneath a very large air shroud, has mechanical fuel ejection and no distributor because it has 2 magnetos. 2 magnetos for redundancy. Each cylinder in here has 2 spark plugs, 1 for each magneto, again for redundancy. On the key, you can select which magneto you want to have powered so you can check that each one is functioning, or you can just run both of them. All right, he's going to allow me to take control. We're hovering above the ground above the helipad at the airport. Feel the pedals? Okay. Tell me to keep a little more left. Okay. Up. Okay. The controls are a lot more assisted than I would have expected. Oh, I need to be focused now. Okay. Okay. He took over control. I suck at this. The fuel consumption of this craft is about 15 U.S. gallons per hour, and this engine runs off avgas, which, if you're not familiar, is 100-octane low-lead fuel, not unleaded, low-lead fuel. And that stuff is available everywhere at your friendly neighborhood airport with a gas pump. The rotor is driven by a belt drive with a whole 4 belts, which is good because, that's the thing that makes you go up. And one of the belt pulleys is on a linear actuator, so it can move up and down and tension and detension the belts, which acts as a clutch to couple and decouple the engine from the rotor. The rotor itself is driven by a sprag clutch, a clutch that only allows one-way transfer of torque, like the rear wheel on a bicycle or fourth gear in a Trabant. So the rotor can spin faster than the engine. This is because, in the event of an engine failure, you don't want the rotor speed being dragged down by a dead engine. You want to be able to auto-rotate down safely. Speaking of, during the flight, Adam took me for a couple of auto-rotation simulation runs where engine power is cut, and the rotor speed is kept up solely by the air rushing through them, which brings the craft down for a safe landing. And as you'll be able to tell by the expression on my face, having engine power cut in the helicopter is an interesting sensation. One, engine cut. Engine is down to 90% RPM according to the tachometer. Rotor speed is 100%. We are descending rapidly. He cuts way down the collective, as you can see, and as we approach the ground, we're pulling up on the collective. The cushion to blow. Fast approaching the ground. There we go. Going forward and quite a range. Now pulling up on the collective. Pulling back on the stick. There we go. The engine's cutting back in. We're just doing a touch and go. We're not doing a proper landing. And the engine runs at a continuous 2,718 RPM. These massive rotor blades cannot lift the helicopter on their own. You can see as it's sitting still here, they have a droop to them. It's the centrifugal force of them spinning around at high speed that allows these blades to lift the helicopter. That's why the engine runs at a constant 2,718 RPM. 2,718 RPM on the engine is 102% on the tachometer. If it drops down to 97%, then an alarm goes off. If it drops down to 82% at my current altitude, well, then the rotor blades will fold up, which I'm told is called tubing, which is a rather delightful term for something so terrifying and catastrophic. Yeah, okay, so he's going to have control of the stick. And yeah, he's going to take control a lot. All right, I'm going to cut it out for that. I'm not going to try that on video. The engine in this helicopter is fitted with a governor to automatically maintain that constant engine speed of 2,718 RPM. So if you do something to increase the load on the engine, like raise the collective, it will increase the throttle on the engine to match. So that 2,718 RPM is maintained constantly. All we're doing doing that thing, after a long couple hours of the golden year, remains scattered across the countryside. Tubing. The construction of this thing is your standard aircraft fare. All the non-see-through bits are very thin aircraft aluminum with millions of rivets holding it all together, and all the clear bits are vacuum from plexiglass. A nice golden shade. And by the way, he's not a robot. He just can't hear me because of the way we have the audio hooked up. When I'm recording, he can't hear me. So that's why he looks like a robot over there. Not saying anything, not responding to my input. Is that right, Adam? Yes, that's right. So there's your basic tour.
That's a dually and it has no power.
R44 Raven 2
The dually has no power.
I hope you enjoyed this tour. If not, I sure did, so don't worry. Thanks for watching. And huge thanks to the owner of this helicopter, Adam, over here, for taking me for a ride and letting me tour his helicopter for the day, for a video. I'm having a blast.
Life is expensive. Tools don't have to be. That's why over 75 million customers have made Harbor Freight America's #1 tool store. With more than 1,500 locations nationwide, Harbor Freight offers the widest
There's no one's gonna come on here.
values that
There's no one wants to come on here. Let's get off.
Hello, everybody. I'm in the middle of making two much larger videos, and neither one of them.
So I'm gonna get off. About half an hour. So I'll get off, guys. Thanks for watching.
We want to give you that hashtag content that you all desire. And by the way,